Hello, this is Frank Falvey with Frank Presents, and it is my honor and privilege to have Jason Poulos, candidate for the Massachusetts 4th Congressional District. Jason, welcome back to Frank Presents.
Thank you for having me back on, Frank.
I know we covered this last time, but briefly tell us about your education and work experience.
Yes. So I grew up here in the district. I'm a product of public schools. So I went to Dover-Sherburne Regional High School here in the district. I went to UMass Amherst on a Pell Grant and a work study grant. And I did my PhD at UC Berkeley in political science and computational science and engineering. And I came back here to Massachusetts to do a postdoc at Harvard Medical School and Brigham and Women's Hospital, where I studied the intersection of AI and health policy.
That study at Harvard was in the medical area, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as I recall, because Trump picked a bone with Harvard, okay, they cut back research on medical, for medical, which directly and to me seemed to be cutting back things that the average normal citizen in this 4th district would really help.
Right, so the Trump administration slashed federal funding to Harvard University in particular, and to other universities across the country. And this had an immediate impact on research funding for health sciences, basic life sciences, and also drug discovery. And so it had two different huge impacts. One on jobs. So these labs at Harvard University, for instance, were not able to hire and keep on research staff. So my campaign manager, Jeremy, was working in a chemistry lab at Harvard on a research grant, and the grant got cut and he lost his job because of that. And the second impact is on basic scientific discovery. So this research funding is going towards things like drug discovery, basic medication that's going to help prevent disease and treat existing ailments. And so these are really important areas to study. And so when an administration comes in and cuts funding for political reasons, it has two really big and negative consequences.
It seems like the Trump administration is doing this in a number of areas. Can you just explain to the average voter how money that would go to help them is being diverted?
So our federal budget is a reflection of our country's priorities. And in the last Trump budget, we have a $1.5 trillion Pentagon budget. That's the most money that's ever been allocated to the Pentagon since World War II, inflation adjusted. The second area that the budget increased in was Department of Homeland Security. And so this is the department that houses ICE and immigration enforcement. Other areas of the federal government have been slashed. So the National Science Foundation, which invests in basic research, was cut in half. I went to UC Berkeley on an NSF graduate research fellowship. That directorate was decimated under this current budget. So people like me wouldn't be able to go to get their PhD with their grant under this current budget. And on the same side, we are experiencing cuts in Medicaid and food stamps. These are basic safety net programs that have existed for decades that help working families sustain a basic dignity of life. And these programs have been cut under this current budget.
The budget, okay. One of the things that brings tears to my eyes even now is the tearing down of the East Wing and this monstrous proposal to build a huge, huge ballroom. That doesn't make sense to me. I mean, who's going to go to the ballroom? Are you and I going to be invited?
No,
You
I
know,
don't think so.
you know, are the TV cameras from Franklin going to be asked to come down? I mean, the ballroom is going to be used by multimillionaires, right? Only they talked about how small the ballroom was, maybe 200 people, right? I don't know whether they're talking 1,000 or how many, but the cost now of putting on a thing for the King of England when he comes, right? Just the food alone is going to go from 200 to 1,000. But the people and the recipients are not going to look or economically be like us.
Yeah, right now in this country we have a contest between democracy and oligarchy. And right now oligarchy is winning. So this ballroom is just a metaphor for what's happening. The ballroom is going to serve, as you mentioned, the billionaire tech oligarchs from Silicon Valley are going to come in and they're going to raise money for this president and for the Republican Party, for the administration. It's not going to serve, you know, average, like working people. And this is happening in a context of widening wealth inequality in this country. So wealth inequality has widened at a point that's greater than the Gilded Age of the 1920s. And we're now in a new frontier of wealth inequality where just one person in this country, Elon Musk, the first trillionaire in this country, has more wealth than the bottom half of the people. And this is just an extraordinary development, and a country cannot sustain itself with widening wealth inequality, because that means that more and more people that on the bottom half of the wealth distribution don't have the resources to do things like go to school, get an education, start a small business. They don't have access to credit. And so these are huge problems that need to be addressed. One way to address it is to impose a wealth tax, 2% annual tax on the top, 2% of the wealth distribution, the billionaires and the trillionaires, and use that money to fund things such as public schooling for everyone who wants it. If someone wants to go to a community college or a public college or university or a trade school, they should be able to do so debt-free.
You know, mentioning the disparity in wealth, on Sunday morning there's a favorite commentator, I can't pronounce his name, Fareed
Zakaria, yeah.
If you don't watch that program, if you just watch TV 1 hour a week, watch him. He is phenomenal. And he talked about, like back in the 1930s, the poorest people were old people. The richer people were younger people. Today that is completely reversed, and the older people now have more wealth, and the younger people are the ones that are really being hurt, with around just 10% of the wealth. Now, I could see this coming 30 years ago because we've practically given away, when someone dies, it doesn't matter how much money. When Musk dies, right, he could have $1 trillion, and none of that is going to go back to the government. And none of that is going to go back like they used to have, an inheritance tax.
Right.
We need to reinstate, I believe, or would like, an inheritance tax. Unions, okay, who should be representing all of their members, right? When they, 20, 30 years ago, and probably still today, when they go in to negotiate a contract, all right, they favor the older workers because there was more older workers than younger workers. So the younger workers didn't even get a pay raise, okay, or the new hires didn't even get a pay raise as much as the older ones got more money in their pension. Today, the younger workers, which you could see when this began, are now in the majority in voting for contracts. So those are types of things that have contributed to that wealth gap.
Yeah, so for the inheritance tax, I completely agree that we need to reinstate inheritance tax because some of these large wealth holders, when they pass away, they transfer their wealth to a younger family member, and that wealth is largely untaxed, and that's another opportunity to reduce this growing disparity in terms of the wealth inequality in this country. And in terms of unions, I think there are a few things we can do, such as making sure that union members have a seat at the table in the companies they represent. There are countries such as Germany that mandates this by law that a certain percentage of maybe 20% of the corporate board should have labor representation on the board. And I think we should do something like that in this country. And we should pass legislation such as the PRO Act, which would allow gig and contract and part-time employees to unionize and demand higher wages and better working conditions by being considered legal employees under the law.
What other economic points of view would you promote or want to highlight in your campaign?
The number one thing is always Medicare for all. So in this state in particular, health insurance costs are too high and they're becoming increasingly more costly. So Massachusetts healthcare premiums are about $3,600 more than the national average. It's becoming more expensive because these enhanced ACA tax credits are expiring. The mass connector enrollments that the state offers, they're falling off. So people are experiencing more healthcare costs, and it's often cited in surveys as one of the top 5 costs of living in Massachusetts, your healthcare premiums, deductibles, co-payments, which just would not exist under a Medicare for All Act. In the Medicare for All Act, we would transfer costs away from the consumer towards the federal government, and it would eliminate private profit-seeking motive from the healthcare industry, and it would save money. Estimates range from $450 billion to $1 trillion in healthcare spending per year, and that's because Medicare for All has lower administrative costs than private health insurance. Medicare for All would allow an expansion of drug price negotiation to lower down prescription drug prices, which are an increasing contributor to higher healthcare costs. And it would also eliminate the profit incentive from the health insurance industry, which also drives up costs. And it would additionally reduce the risk of hospital closures. So right now, there are hospitals in the district that were at risk of closing because they were no longer profitable and they had private equity firms take over and threaten to sell them for parts. Luckily, in these hospitals, a nonprofit had taken over and decided to take over the hospital. But we see this in other areas of Massachusetts. For instance, Norwood Hospital is at risk right now, and it's because of this private profit-seeking motive.
Going to foreign affairs, okay. I agree with Trump in the sense that NATO alliance, the countries needed to pay more. And they are paying more. It's effective. But he's not helping Ukraine. I mean, he's decided that, it looks like Russia should win the war, and has done everything to promote that. Yet the European countries themselves have supported Ukraine above and beyond. How do you see that Ukrainian situation?
It should definitely be a multilateral effort. It should not be just the United States sending more money to Ukraine. It should be a collaboration with NATO allies, European and Mideast allies, to bring about a conclusion of this conflict, which has now gone on for far too long and has suffered so many unnecessary lives in the militaries of both countries and civilians in both countries. And so I do think that the United States should take the lead in diplomatic efforts to end this conflict. And it shouldn't just be the United States, it should also be NATO and allies that are trying to get this situation resolved.
Turning to the Middle East, any general thoughts of my opinion is Netanyahu calls Trump and Trump does what Netanyahu asked for. And your opponent is particularly a hard supporter of the state of Israel. He just, everything for the state of Israel seems to be his agenda.
Yeah, so just some history. So in 2024, when the United States was first considering attacking Iran, Representative Auchincloss went to the media saying, this is a good time to strike Iran. They don't have any air defenses. It would be just like poking, a defenseless bear. We should have regime change now. And he repeated these remarks up until the last summer when Trump dropped the bombs on the nuclear facilities. He said, this makes the country safer. Democracies around the world are safer. So he celebrated these air defense, these airstrikes. And on the run up to the most recent conflict against Iran, he also said that this is a good time to do airstrikes. There's no air defenses. He really did push this war, the movement towards this war, and it turned out to be completely wrong. So, we are now, in the third or fourth month of this war. The Iranian air defenses are stronger than Representative Auchincloss predicted. It's a much harder conflict than what was predicted by Representative Auchincloss and also another proponent of the Iranian war, Benjamin Netanyahu. So I think this was a project of supporters of Israel for a long time. And I think, cooler heads and more rational heads would have predicted that this is not a conflict that the United States should have gone into. We don't have national security interests in bombing Iran. It's not in our country's best interest to send $200 billion more to this seemingly endless war that could have been used at home. We could have purchased 800,000 affordable housing units with this money. We could have made public colleges tuition free for a year for everyone in the country who wanted. We could have canceled student debt. We could have provided universal health care for everyone in this country for a year. So the trade-offs of having this pointless war that was never authorized by Congress, no one ever asked for, is tremendous. And it again goes to our nation's priorities.
Let me ask this question. In Gaza, the state of Israel, are they guilty of genocide?
Yes, and not only do I believe so, every human rights expert in the world almost believes so. Every scholar of genocide, both in Israel and United States and Europe, believe so. The United Nations have deemed so. There are ongoing trials in the International Criminal Court and Court of Justice on this issue. And there's a lot of evidence that would suggest that what happened in Gaza is a genocide. And it carries important legal implications. It would require the United States to address the reconstruction of Gaza in such a way that would benefit the Palestinian people. And it would also make sure that the illegal settlements that are expanding in the West Bank would be stopped and reversed as required by international law.
As a representative from the congressional 4th District of Massachusetts, controlling the money, big thing for the House of Representatives. That's where the tax bills and revenue and spending should originate. How will you propose to watch that? The proposal of how the money is spent, the proposal of how to raise money. Where would your effort be in that area?
So on the nation's priorities, we're spending too much money on war and not enough money here domestically. And the big part of that is the increasing budget of the Pentagon. I would vote for legislation that would pare down the Pentagon budget, as it is failing to pass a federal audit year after year for the past 8 years. There's a bill sponsored by Senator Markey that would cap the Pentagon budget from to $750 billion. So that's half of what's proposed right now, $1.5 trillion. So $750 billion cap, and the remaining $750 billion could then be invested in our healthcare, education, housing. Department of Homeland Security, the budget has tripled in the past couple of years. I don't think the Department of Homeland Security should have this federal bonanza going towards it. I again think that spending should be capped and the money reinvested into other domestic priorities.
Is there a how would I say it, a procedural problem with the way the budget is formed and finally voted on? Is there basically some sort of change in the way the Congress, I mean, I doubt when they come up with these big bills, 1,000-page bills or whatever, I doubt if anyone, has ever read the whole bill through. Or can. What is your thought procedurally? Is there anything that has to be different?
So I think the bills are impossible to read for a reason, because they don't want you to read them. And it's because a lot of these bills, especially the funding bills, are being written by lobbyists that are paid for by corporations and the industries to put in spending and regulations that are going to benefit the industries. And so we have to get rid of the practice of Congress people becoming lobbyists after they retire, which is a huge problem, because when in office, the Congress people are going to try to benefit these industries that they're going to later try to get high-paying jobs from. And we have to try to cut out lobbyists from the role of crafting legislation, and we have to try to reduce the amount of pork barrel spending in the Congress. So these are just pet projects that often don't really benefit entire districts, might only benefit a few people, and it's like raising the costs of the budget.
Jason Poulos, candidate for 4th Congressional District in Congress. What is the question I haven't asked you that you'd like to talk to the people at home?
Yes. So fundamentally, this race is a question between democracy and oligarchy, as we were talking
Can
about
you
before.
explain oligarchy? For those
Oligarchy
that
is
might not?
a system of government in which the government is largely controlled by the ultra wealthy. And this relates to the issue of the ballroom. It relates to the issue of the widening wealth inequality in this country has heightened the political power of the wealthiest among us. And this election is really about reclaiming power for the people and reclaiming our democracy. And it's a question of who our representatives are going to represent. Are they going to represent the people, or are they going to represent the healthcare executives or the pharmaceutical executives when it comes to issues such as Medicare for All, a national health insurance program, when it comes to issues such as lowering prescription drug prices by expanding Medicare drug price negotiation. And it comes down to issues such as expanding Social Security by getting rid of the payroll tax cap to expand the amount of revenue into the Social Security program and expand the amount of benefits that Social Security recipients can receive.
At this time, I would like to ask you if people want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Yeah, so I'm very accessible. My email is on the website. It's jason@poulos.house. It's POULOS.house. And you can learn more about the issues on that website, also poulos.house. And you can also sign up to volunteer. You can sign up to Canvas. We have about 300 volunteers working on the campaign. We have people canvassing every day. I'm going to be out here in Franklin today canvassing and knocking on doors while I'm here. And we have, a good, energetic group of people who want progressive change in this district.
Yeah, this district hopefully would recognize the need for the progressive change.
Mm-hmm.
If you see this pinned on someone, right? Poulos for Congress, right?
Mm-hmm. I actually saw a bunch of lawn signs on my way over here.
And that is because the word has to go from people to people,
Mm-hmm.
and it really is taking off.
Mm-hmm. And people see the lawn signs and they say, what is Poulos? Who is this? And they Google and they find out about the website and the issues. And our issues are extremely popular, especially in the Democratic Party in the primary we're running in on September 1st. And when people hear about the campaign, they're excited about it and they want to help out.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate your coming down, and hope to interview you as Congressman-elect to the U.S. House of Representatives from the Mass 4th Congressional District. You want to vote on September 1st, although today you could go down to the town clerk's office and do some early voting.
Starting August 22nd, yes.
Oh, but you can do mail-in ballot.
Mm-hmm.
It's starting today.
Mm-hmm.
So on August 22nd, you can go down to the town clerk's office. Should be more than happy to see you. On September 1st, we're voting at the school gymnasium, the high school gymnasium, and that probably is from 8 o'clock, probably from 6 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock
Mm-hmm.
in the evening. Mail-in ballots, if you're a student, you can get a ballot, mail it in. Military people can mail in ballots. So we're already in that process.
Right, so people are voting right now. So I was knocking on doors yesterday in Attleboro, and I knocked on a door, and I extended the literature, and the voter looked down. He said, "Oh, I already voted for him." I said, "What do you mean you already voted for him?" "I already voted for him." And then he looks up to me and he's like, "Oh, it's you." So yeah, people are voting already, and if you don't have your mail-in ballot, I really do encourage you to go in person and vote starting August 22nd, and it goes until August 28th.
Jason and I both want to thank you for watching, and please turn in again to Frank Presents. Thank you.
This program was made possible by your Franklin friends and neighbors, good folks just like you. Thanks for supporting Franklin TV. And thanks for watching.